In a previous example, we looked at how to use the payment function or PMT function. And the example that we looked at was if we were taking out a loan for €15,000 and the interest rate was 5% and we were going to pay it back over 36 months, the PMT function in Excel worked it out as just under €450 per month of a repayment. So that's a very handy function for calculating what a repayment amount would be. But we might have a situation like here where we'd like to see what our different options are over different loan amounts. So we can see from our what if analysis that these different loan amounts will require these repayments. So we can work this data table out using our what if analysis. We can also look at a multivariable table where we can see different loan amounts but also different terms. So different lengths of time in which we can pay back our loan. And we can generate these values here in between using the what if analysis. So it's a very powerful and handy feature. If we want to do it, if we start off with our single variable table, if we want to build our data table, the first thing that we do is we just copy what our repayment amount is. So we say equals, and where the PMT function worked out our value, we just say equals that cell. So it gives us the value. Then just to the left of that and down one cell, it's very particular where the values go. It's over and down one. We're going to put in our different increments there. So we'll say we'll go from 15,000. I'm going to use autofill here, so I'll just give it the pattern. Autofill that to maybe in around 27,000. So this is going to show us what our different repayments values will be for all of these increments. So now that I have my data table created, I highlight it. Now we're going to use the what if analysis to fill in the remainder. So we go to data, what if, and data table. So it's asking us here with these two cells, what would we like to fill in? We're only dealing with a single column, so we're going to use a column input cell only. So we click in there, and then it's asking us, well, what value are you working with here? And we're working with different amounts of our initial loan amount. So we just click on that. So that value is used in our PMT function. So Excel is clever enough to know to make that link that this value here relates to these increments, and will fill in or work out the repayment values accordingly. So if we hit OK, there we can see that it works out all the values for us. If we wanted to take into account our repayment amounts and term repayments, we can work it out like this. The first thing that we do again is we have to insert our PMT value. So we say equals. We put that in there like that. Now this time we go directly under our PMT value with our increment. So we'll say 15,000 and 16,000 again. So we can use autofill again to work that out for us. So we'll go as far as 26,000 here. And this time we put our terms, so in months, alongside our PMT value. So it's appearing as a currency value there, which I'll change. So we're going to change this to just a general number. And then we're going to autofill this across to maybe about 120 or thereabouts. So that's a couple of years. So now we have our multivariable data table more or less constructed. Now we'll use our what if analysis to fill in the values in between. So this time we're dealing with row information and column information. So we need to fill in those two boxes this time. So here's our row input cell. So our row input cell this time relates to our term. So we select that value here. Our column input cell relates to our actual loan amount. So we select that from our original data. And if we hit OK, Excel generates all the different what ifs in between those. So we can see all the different options. If we were to take out a €20,000 loan for 60 months, that is what our repayment would be. So what's very handy here is the use of conditional formatting. So we might decide we can only afford a loan maybe from €350 to €450. So we'll get Excel to highlight those values for us. So we'll say highlight a cell that's between say €250 and €350. So we can pick whatever style we want to change our cells there, and we hit OK. And here we can see all the different amounts that we can actually afford and what terms they are and then what the actual amounts are. So that's our multivariable table and our single variable table under what if analysis.